Live, going live, and we're live. Yes, excellent. Okay. For those of you joining us in the chat in a few moments, I'm going to have you all go to the website known as Quizzes because I have a practice assignment for you guys to complete for me in the first part of this class period. Everyone has their Chromebooks kind of out and ready to go. I'm also suggesting that you have your notebooks ready to go just in case you need to reference something. Did it work? Oh, goodness. Oof. Ooh. Is your phone able to connect to the internet? Yeah. Okay. I don't want to ruin your phone battery. Do you have are you able to plug in your phone too? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, what was I saying? Oh no. So sorry. But I am asking for you guys to have those notebooks in case you need to reference something, of course, and if you need scratch paper to write out some of these problems. So yes, please, by all means, have that ready to go. So let me get the quizzes code up here so you all can begin getting into this thing. Bring this back over, flip this screen, duplicate, chapow. Now, for those of you in the chat, you can't probably see the code because there's a giant glare on it. So the code, just for the sake of argument, is 154063. 154063. Now, as I said before, this quizzes is a practice. This is not going to count against you. This is simply looking back at the material that we have been covering for the past couple of weeks and seeing how much do we know? How much have we retained? What can we do with it? And I'm saying use those notebooks. I'm going to be walking around. You can ask me clarification questions if need be. But I want you guys to be able to attack these problems to the best of your ability using the synthetic bar, the synthetic substitution, the synthetic division that we have been doing. Most of these problems are going to require that. So let's say we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Give people an opportunity to get in there. They do have interesting themes on quizzes now. The music for this one actually is pretty nice. So we'll kind of do that. So now, when we are done with said quizzes, it's roughly 16 questions, I believe. When we are done with said quizzes, I would like to review specific problems from that quizzes that I would have you guys write down when we get there. But we'll see what happens. I'll give people a few moments to get in. In terms of your Chromebook, I honestly have no idea what the deal is with it. Oh, like a tech request or something junk like that. Probably. What do you have next period? Oh, I don't know. That's up to your teacher. I don't know. We'll figure something out. But otherwise, I mean, you are able to fill out a tech request somewhere else. Okay. Yeah. I don't know. That's, everything's done on the computers nowadays. Anywho's, ladies and gentlemen, let's get this thing started. Again, take your time, read carefully. I believe all the questions that you have are shuffled, so you're not getting them in the same order as everyone else. Oop, I'm gonna change the theme there. No, you're supposed to change the theme. I didn't want that song. I wanted the other one. I'm going to reload it. Well, you guys are already in it. That's fine. There it is. like that. That's fun.
At this time, any seniors with the last name beginning A through J who have not ordered Captain Gowns can come to the main lobby. Again, seniors A through J to the main lobby. Thank you.
just so you guys are all on the same page, I'm going to give you probably an additional 6 or 7 minutes to kind of wrap this up. 6 or 7 minutes. Other than trying to refresh the screen, is your whole phone further or just the website? Just the website. Okay. Because obviously I'm going to review various prompts with the different application. But try refreshing the screen. If it doesn't work, then I wouldn't worry about it. Try refreshing now. Oh, really? And then your Chrome will look like that, and that uses the PTS wireless too, right? Yeah. Such a weird system. That the PTS admin, which apparently never has any problems. I'm sorry. At least it was just practice. Yeah. It's just about one more minute, and then I'm gonna end the game and start going over the problems that I need to go over. we go. Okay, so here's what I'm going to ask of you. I'm going to pick certain problems out of the review that they give me. And I would like you to write down some pertinent information into your notebooks. So what I'm going to say is you don't have to write down the entire problem. You really only have to write down what I am going to be writing down underneath the Elmo screen. So in terms of Chromebooks, you guys can close them down, turn them off, put them aside for the time being. I want you to focus on what I'm going to be writing up on the screen and what you are going to be putting into those notebooks. So, let's see what we got here. Fix this. Oh, and it's frozen like my heart. There we go. And flip in here to the questions. Here we go. So it looks like there were 6 questions in particular that were marked red. I'm going to start with the red ones, and then I'm going to work my way to the yellow ones with whatever time that we have left. So let's start with something like number 1. Now, what I'm going to write for this, I'm going to title this in my notes, Polynomial Practice. You can see right there. And today is the 18th. But I'm going to title this Polynomial Practice. And they want me to factor x cubed plus 1. Now, a couple things to this, because I'm looking at the correct versus incorrect there. Excellent. They want me just to factor that particular problem. First, let's take a look as to what this thing actually looks like. So I'm going to go to my graphing calculator. You can see what I'm typing in right here, x cubed plus 1. Look what it actually looks like when you graph this thing. Seemingly, it only crosses that x-axis once. Seemingly, it only crosses that x-axis once. And it appears that it crosses it at -1. And you can see that blinking on my screen right there. I don't see anywhere else that it crosses the x-axis. I'm going to try and do synthetic with that -1. All right. Let's zoom back out. Let's see what we do here. So I'm going to have to do a synthetic with -1 on the outside. Now here is where a few people probably tripped up. The main issue with this problem is what do you fill inside of the synthetic bar? Now, what I have taught you still remains. What I have taught you is that on the inside of that bar, you put the coefficients of the equation. Now, clearly, it starts out as a 1x cubed. Yes, it starts out as a 1x cubed, so I would definitely put a 1 on the inside of that bar. But what do I put next? If I put a 1 right here to represent the 1x cubed, what number do I write after? This is the big question. I have to write the coefficients. It's a 1x cubed. What's my x squared coefficient? 0. What's my x coefficient? 0. See, the thing is, you need to have those zeros in there as a placeholder. You are going to have to fill in the synthetic bar like that. If you don't, then things are sure to mess up. This was I'm pointing at it right now, this was my 1x cubed. The 0 is in the place of the x squared because there is no x squared in the equation. The 0 is there in the place of the x because there is no x in my equation. And plus 1 representing the constant. Then I would continue with synthetic the way that we have been taught last week and this week to do. 1 plus nothing is 1. Then I would multiply. Then I would add vertically. Then I would multiply. Then I would add vertically. Then I would multiply. Then I would add vertically. Getting that 0 proves that -1 is indeed a factor. Or I'm sorry, a 0 of the function. It proves that x plus 1 is a factor. So hold on, I'm writing this for my notes, and I would suggest again that you write it for your notes. We have proven -1 is a 0 and x plus 1 is a factor. That's what we've proven. That's what we've proven by getting that 0 in that spot. But again, that's not what the question's actually asking us to do completely. We still have to factor the whole thing. Let me look back at the choices real quick. Boom. If you look back at the choices, 2 of them have an x plus 1 there. 2 of them have an x plus 1 there. Let's see what we got here, though. Look at the bottom of this bar right here. Look at the bottom. That 0 represents your remainder. Then it goes constant x squared. This is a 1x squared minus 1x plus 1 as the result of division. This is the result of division right here. It always starts with your remainder on the far right, and then going backwards to the left, constant x term, x squared term, and then if it keeps going, it would keep going, x cubed, x, whatever. Now, obviously, if you didn't have this, it would stop at x. But since it went 3 numbers, I'd have to go in that order. But it always, always, always goes in that order. Yeah. Now, here's the key. We proved that x plus 1 was a factor, and now we got it down to this quadratic. Fun fact about that quadratic. This quadratic cannot be factored any farther. You could try. You could totally try to factor this quadratic. But this quadratic actually cannot be factored. You could try like the Tucker method or whatever. Can you find two numbers that multiply to 1 and add up to -1? You can't do it. This can't be factored. So what ends up happening for my final answer in terms of factoring this problem, I know that x plus 1 is a factor, and so is x squared minus x plus 1. Here's the key. I don't like teaching more than I have to in regards to, let's say, formulas and methods and things of that nature. If this were some higher level algebra 2 or, calculus or some junk like that, then I would be teaching you the formulas that you would need to kind of get something like that. By the way, I'm going to write something on the board. Don't you dare write this down. Hold on.
At this time, any seniors with the last initials K through R who have not ordered Kappa Gals may come to the main lobby.
Basically, if you have two things that are being added together that are cubes, there's a formula where it's like, oh, you can factor it into like a plus b and a squared. plus, no, it's a minus AB plus B squared. And it's like, oh, can you memorize that formula? But then if it's an A cubed minus B cubed, then it's actually a different formula where the thing actually goes in a slightly different location. And then it's like, cool. And it's like, hey guys, can you memorize these like 15 different formulas? I don't want to. I really don't want to. And I'm not expecting you to. Why would I bother memorizing those 15 formulas when I can just use synthetic division in order to apply to all of these problems? Yeah, I would rather do that. I would rather just learn the synthetic division and get that thing done. By the way, if you see this thing right here, there's the answer that we got. X squared minus x plus 1 being the other factor. Let's jump down to, where is it? Number 7. Excellent. Number 7. So I'm going to write down some information for number 7. Number 7 says that your f of x is 2x cubed minus 19x squared plus 38x plus 24. And they give you, given x minus 4 is a factor. And they want you to find all the real zeros. So this is what they give you. I would write that down. They want you to find all the zeros given that x minus 4 is a factor. Find all zeros. Zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. I am going to write a definition on the board that I wrote down last week. A definition on the board that would be incredibly helpful. If f of k is equal to 0, then x minus k is a factor. We wrote this down in the past. We wrote that down. It's like, okay, now it's coming back. Now it's coming back to play a role in this particular problem. Now they've given us a factor, x minus 4, which means that we do have a 0 already. We do have a 0 already. Now, this is going to be the key. This is where you need to recognize how to use this particular definition. If x minus 4 is a factor, what is my 0? What goes on the outside of that synthetic bar? I want you to think about that because I'm going to ask it again in a few moments. I'm going to ask that same question again in a few moments. Here's my synthetic bar. 2, negative 19, 38, and 24 go on the inside, as per usual. I need to do a synthetic division with this particular problem where I divide out that factor. But I need to know what number goes there. Ooh. Take a wild guess. It's positive 4. It's definitely positive 4. See, because x minus 4 being the factor, since x minus 4 is the factor, you can solve that and get positive 4 as the 0. Positive 4 is what you need to put on the outside of that synthetic bar. That is the key to understanding this problem correctly. Positive 4. Then I'm going to work through synthetic division. 2 plus nothing is 2. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. Multiply. Add. It works. And again, I said this on Monday. I said this last week. And I want to remind you of this right now. If you don't get a 0 here, one of two things could have happened. If you don't get a 0 here, what are those two things? What happened if you don't get a 0 here? Yeah? Not that it's not. We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet. I mean, if we don't get a 0 there. But there's two specific things that could have happened if you don't get a 0 here. Number one, you might have the wrong number here. If you didn't get a 0 on the bottom right, you might have the wrong number, and you may have to try a different number. Second thing that could have happened, you done messed up somewhere in the middle, and you got to find out where your mistake was. Those are the two things that could have happened. You might have the wrong number being plugged in, or you done messed up. So let's see what happens now. This goes back to the question they asked me about this. It's like, okay, what's the equation now? Because we need the equation. We need the equation. Remainder, constant, x squared. This is a 2x squared minus 11x minus 6. This is the resulting quadratic. Now look at what the question's asking. The question is asking for you to find all the zeros. We have one of them. We have positive 4. We need the other 2. The 2 of them are coming from this equation. If you wanted to, you could go through whatever method of factoring that you know to do. Personally, I'm just going to go through a quick little Tucker method right here. Negative 12 and positive 1 seem to be my magic numbers. Let me zoom in on that. There we go. Do a little T-chart action over here. 2x and 2x. Negative 12 and 1. Simplify that junk down. It becomes an x minus 6 and a 2x plus 1. Those are the remaining factors. Those are my remaining factors. And from those remaining factors, I am going to get an answer of positive 6. And I am going to get an answer of negative 1/2. There are 3 zeros to this problem, technically. 3 zeros to this problem. Positive 6, negative 1/2, positive 4. I'm going to come back to the screen in a moment. I want to look at the quizzes. Ba-bow! Chapow! You can see right there what the correct answer was. You can see right there, positive 4 and negative 1/2, positive 6. It's highlighted in green. But this is what you would have to do in order to get that problem done correctly. Divide out that 0 that they gave you. Divide out the factor that they gave you. In this case, positive 4, because it was an x minus 4. Take the resulting equation and do something with it. Now, I had options. The second that I do this equation right here with the quadratic, I have options. I could either continue with synthetic. Hold on, again.
At this time, any seniors at the end of the alphabet who have been ordered to pass them down, please report to the main lobby.
At this point, when you have the quadratic, you have options. You could either continue with synthetic, you could try to factor it, or you could quad formula. Either way would be acceptable for this problem. I chose factoring. Let's see what quizzes says next. Quizzes. Excellent. I already gave it away, but let me back out of that. Sweet. Again with this thing. Come on, you. Number 8. Let's talk about number 8. I'm going to write down some information for number 8. Number 8 is asking for you to factor completely 2n cubed plus 7n squared minus 2n minus 7. Chapow. There's the problem. Write that down. Write it, write it, write it. That should work. Yes, they're using an n. You can easily replace that with an x if you wanted to. You know what? I accidentally did. Look at that. I had it on my mind to replace it with an X, and I did. I'm just going to put the N back there. But when I type it into the graphing calculator, I'm going to use an X because that's what I have to use. 7x squared minus 2n minus 7. Let's zoom in on that. Zoom, 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 zoom. Here's the equation. Now, this is what you would do on an assessment. This is what you would do if you were taking an assessment from me. Mr. Markey, where do I start? How do I start the problem? How do I begin this process? Look at the graph. Look at the graph. I mean, obviously, if your Chromebook is working, you all have graphing calculators. Not to rub it in. Whoa, that thing is messed up. Hold on, I gotta see that again. Here, let's watch it again. Here comes the graph one more time. Here it comes. Up and down and up. Interesting. Can you identify any of the zeros on that graph? Can you visibly identify any of the zeros on this graph if you had to take a guess? What do you think? -1 and 1. I agree. 1 and -1 seem like the zeros. They do. What's the last one? Let's see. -2.5? Nope. Maybe -3.5? Ah, nailed it. That was a pure guess. But that doesn't prove anything to me, because if I'm a student in this class, I need to show the work to back it up. I cannot just say, the calculator told me. So instead, I'm going to do this. Synthetic bar. 2, 7, -2, -7. What was the number you said first, though?
-1.
Let's try -1 then first. It doesn't matter which one we do first. I'm just going to choose whatever you said. -1. We'll try -1 first. We need to factor completely. Now, mind you, the problem said to factor. We'll deal with that in a moment. Bring down the 2, multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply. Boom! Nailed it. And what was the second number you said?
1.
+1. Okay, so now here's the deal. We're whittling this thing down. I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut right here, but we're whittling this thing down right now. Right here, boom, that's your remainder. You get a remainder of 0. Then you got a constant. Then you got an x. Then you got an x squared. I'm not going to write the equation, though. Instead of writing the equation, I'm going to do another synthetic bar here. But I'm going to use these numbers instead. And he told me to put a +1 in there this time because it looked like the graph was going through +1, and I believe it will. Let's see what happens. The 2 comes straight down, then you multiply, then you add, then you multiply, then you add. Huzzah, it worked. Yay! Here's the key. What is this down here where I'm pointing? What equation is that? I need to know what equation that is in order to get this problem done correctly at the bottom. What is it, though? Aha. Remember, this is your remainder, right? What's the rest of it get you? Yes.
At this time,
Yes.
juniors
Hold
with
on.
the last initials of A through L can report to the main lobby for ring orders. That's A through L for juniors.
She said 2x plus 7. And now x, I'm going to use n because of the problem, but you're correct, though. If you decided to switch everything to x's at the beginning of the problem, I totally accept that as an answer. Just saying. But this is a 2n plus 7. Yes. Now, that's not factoring in completely because I still need, oh, look right here. -1 is a 0. And if -1 is a 0, that must mean x plus 1 is the factor. Oh, look right here. +1 was the 0. If +1 is a 0, that must mean that x minus 1 is a factor. I did it again. I did x again. Look at me. Look at me be silly. N. I'm trying to be consistent with the variables. Because when I go back to the quizzes and I look at the answers, you can see the correct answer on the far right. N minus 1, n plus 1, 2n plus 7. That is the correct answer on the quizzes. A lot of people immediately picked cannot be factored. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. But this is the process that you could go through in order to get that thing done. This is that process. Let me see here. Let me look at 9, 13, and 14 real quick. 9 and 13. Oh, let's totally look at this one. Oh, yeah. Now, I'm not going to write this one down. I just want to see what this guy does. Check this out. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. What best describes his mistake? Look what I just circled there. I just circled 2 specific things. I'm trying to hone in on exactly what the mistake was. There is a connection between those two that we need to be able to recognize right now. Looks like, how many got this right? 3. 3 people got this right. What was the mistake? Ooh. The equation that goes on the inside of the bar, it looks like x to the 4th plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 2. It looks like, yeah, there's a 1 right there. 1, 3, -4, -2. But there's a mistake. What's the mistake? Ooh. This is key. This is key. This is vital towards understanding this process. Some people, I think, do have an idea. It's like, I think that's the mistake, but I don't want to say it in case I'm wrong. That makes me sad. Don't be afraid of being wrong. Let me erase this. This has nothing to do with it at the moment. What's missing? What's missing? What comes in between an x squared and an x to the 4th? Ooh. What comes after an x squared but before an x to the 4th? X cubed. Yeah. The x cubed is missing. And since the x cubed is missing, you need to have a 0 in right there. You need to have a 0 in that spot. Look right here. Second option. Did not use a 0 placeholder for the x cubed term. That's it right there. That is exactly what is wrong with it. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to assign you something via Google Classroom in terms of a practice homework-ish type thing. Eventually, before Thanksgiving break, there is going to be an assessment. I'm going to talk more about that assessment on Friday, but there will be an assessment before Thanksgiving break. Even if they do end up locking us down, ladies and gentlemen, even if they do end up locking us down, I am still going to be going full strength teaching If they make me stay home, I have a setup at home for live streaming that's very simple. If they make me stay in the classroom, that's fine. I can still live stream the way that I'm doing right now, although I don't like it like this. I prefer it in a different setting. But whatever, we'll deal with it when we deal with it. Pay attention to Google Classroom. You'll see what's going to be posted before the end of today. Get that thing done, and we'll talk about it next time. Anyway, bell's going to ring in like less than a minute. I'm going to sign off on the stream. Chapow. Chapow.